history isn't just what happened, it's who we are. And now you can explore Africa's incredible past like never before. Introducing the new and engaging course catalog from aelearning.net, a world-class provider of interactive e-learning focused on Africa's rich and diverse history. From the rise of ancient Nubia and the power of the Mali Empire, to the architectural wonders of Egypt and the development of astrological knowledge by the Dogon people, each self-paced course brings history to life through stunning visuals, immersive video lessons, and interactive assessments. Designed for students, educators, and lifelong learners around the world, AE Learning's courses make discovering Africa's story easier, deeper, and more engaging than ever. With AE Learning, education meets flexibility. Whether you're a student, teacher, or lifelong learner, our platform gives you access to credible knowledge, rich multimedia lessons, and tools that make learning African history engaging and unforgettable. Join thousands of learners already rediscovering Africa's past and shaping its future. Visit www.aelearning.net today. Start your journey through Africa's past today, because the story of Africa is the story of us all. AE Learning, inspiration through high-quality education.
Danfo offers unparalleled, curated, and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds, and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshe traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danfo, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danfo, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danfo, Africa. To learn more, visit danfo.africa.
Peace, fam. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Thank you all. Thanks so much for joining. Hit that like button. Make sure you hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. Before we bring on, really, it should be our host. Well, I'm gonna say special guest, but really, she should be our host because I'm supposed to be on her platform, but we were having some technical difficulties. So when I bring her on, I'm gonna allow her to interview me. But before we bring our sister on, we have a couple of announcements. Didi, you're supposed to be coming to Senegal with me next month, Didi. Didi, you in the chat room, you've been ducking me for the past 3-4 years now. Okay, I see you in the chat room, but that's okay, y'all. That's okay. We still love you. But again, hit that like button, make sure you share, and make sure you subscribe. Got a couple of announcements. Announcement number one, we're going to Senegal next month, May 9th through the 18th for the Jazz Festival. For the Jazz Festival in St. Louis. If you're interested in joining us, please visit danfo.africa. Again, if you are interested in joining us, please visit Danfo. That's DANFO.Africa to learn more. We are also rolling to Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival. Zanzibar in September for Safari Blue. Then we're doing Ghana and Ivory Coast in November along with Sierra Leone. And then we're doing Benin in January for the Voodoo Festival. So if you're interested in joining us, please visit Danfo.Africa. Here's the site right here. You know where you're at when you put the URL into the your search box, and we'll love to have you. Without further without further ado, let's bring on our. You can't hear me. You can't hear me. Can you guys hear me in the chat? Press one if you can hear me in the chat. Press one if you can hear me in the chat. I know. I'm seeing if they can hear me in the chat. Again, press one if you can hear me in the chat. Okay. Yeah, everyone hears me in the chat. I think it's you. Everyone else hears me in the chat. Um, but I'm gonna bring you on. We're gonna bring on our sister, Griot of the Diaspora, our sister Nakira G, and the topic is about what's going on with Sierra Leone citizenship for Black Americans, or really for the diaspora. So let's bring her on, and I'm gonna allow her to interview me because again, we were supposed to be on her platform, but we're on mine. Nakira, can you hear me? You can't hear me. You can't hear me. They hear me. They hear me in the chat though, so they can hear me in the.
Hey,
I hear you. I hear you, but can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
So they hear me in the chat. So maybe do this: leave and come
Should I
back.
leave out and come back?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Leave and come back. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. So we'll wait for her to come back. Wait for her. Here she comes. All right, can you hear me?
Hey. Yes, I can hear you.
All right, perfect, perfect. All right, everyone. Everyone give a big round of applause. Hold on, where's my sound effects at? Oh, let me get my sound effects. I got sound effects over here. Here we go. Here we go. Where are my sound effects? Here we go. Bam.
Thanks. Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties, guys.
No problem. No
Getting my
problem.
things together.
Shout out to Nakira G, everyone.
Yes, yes, yes. Nakira G, hard I.
Nakira. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes,
Nakira
hard
G.
I.
Okay.
But
All right.
yes, I'm Griot the Diaspora. Nice to meet you guys. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you for joining us. But hey, I'm gonna let you. This is really your show, so we're supposed to be on your platform.
I
But
know, I
yeah,
know.
but we're here. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and take over and ask me any questions you want to. But the topic is on Sierra Leone citizenship for Black Americans, or really the diaspora
Yeah.
uh, in totality. What to know? So go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Yes, so I'm also live on TikTok, but they already know that I can't really talk to them, so they're waiting for the recorded version as well because I'm
Okay.
still figure out StreamYard child. But yes, so yes, everyone, I am Griot the Diaspora. For those who don't know, I also live between America and Ghana. I moved to Ghana back in 2022. And I stayed there full time since 2025, and I came back to the US last year just to get some things together. But I will be going back and going around the continent to really see where I want to be. And so a lot of people have been asking me about like citizenship and stuff, and I'm like, that's not my jurisdiction. I'm not one of those diasporans that's like, come to me for everything. No, don't. I'm gonna direct y'all to the people who do this for real. That's what I'm more of a dot connector. I don't try to take up the industry. So
Which
I
is
definitely
smart. Which is smart.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't play like that. So yes, I went to the University of Ghana as a student back in 2013 for 1 year. So my journey in Ghana has been now for 13 years. And so I'm still in the process of also the citizenship stuff now that Ghana citizenship has changed a little bit, and there are some things going on with that as well. So we can probably talk about that a little bit later. But for people, especially for my people who are watching and things like that, I know that you have started your journey with Sierra Leone a while ago. I would say over 5 years ago, right?
Yeah. I actually got. In fact, here's my Sierra Leone passport. right here. January of 2021 was when the my group we had our swearing in confirmation.
Nice. And so I know I remember back, I'm assuming back at the beginning of the Sierra Leone citizen
Confirmment. That's the correct term. Confirmment. I'm sorry. Swearing in,
confirm.
confirmment. There we go.
And was this the process where you go to you do the DNA test first? So
Hmm.
can you walk us through a little bit of what the program was like with when it came to the citizenship DNA test part? Because I think for me and other people, we're a little bit confused on does Sierra Leone have to show up on your DNA test in order to get the citizenship?
So the kind of somewhat fast forward and not spoil it, but kind of spoil it. So as of right now, I'll get into in the
How it
past,
started? Okay.
how it started. But as of today, April 19th, 2026, the whole program has been put on hold. Um, yeah, to let people know. But just to put that out there because I don't want people getting too excited.
Yeah.
Getting
And is that because of
excited.
the new administration?
People are getting their passports and not coming back. So Sierra Leone was the only country where literally you could. In fact, I'll get into the process. So originally, when I got my passport in 2021, all you had to do was you had to take a DNA test with African ancestry, and
Right.
if those results link back to Sierra Leone, have you ever taken a DNA test with African ancestry?
No, I was very one of those people that was like anti DNA test, but whatever. I have a DNA test in the closet, but I just have not taken it.
Okay, so right. So if you took a DNA test with African ancestry and if your results came back Sierra Leone, you're eligible for citizenship. So when I received my citizenship, I just got a phone call like a month before the conferment said, "Hey, Dynas, these are the dates. Bring your paperwork, get sworn in by the president, get your passport." And so I went.
Actively flying into the country though.
You got to go exactly. So you
Right.
have to go. So in the December that was 2020, went. I did everything I needed to do as far as biometrics. And then we got sworn in, received our passports. Then they changed it to you have to go through a tour operator, which I understand why they did that. A lot of people um, felt as if the tour operators were hustling and why we got to come through y'all. But I understand why because I'm a tour operator.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so then it went from okay, now you have to go through a tour operator. You have to have your DNA paperwork, actual documents proving that your DNA paperwork is legit and not a fugazi. Then you have to have a background check, federal and local. Make sure you're not a criminal. Then you have to connect with the tour operator. We submit everything on your behalf. There were dates. They used to be April and November. You come, you get sworn in. November of 2023 was the last group to go through that, get their citizenship via that process. Then they went back to the drawing board. The reason why they went back to the drawing board was because people were getting their passports and not coming back. So Sierra Leone was the only country where you could show up and leave with a passport in about 10 days. So with that, you had a lot of people who this was like their first time coming to Africa, getting their
Yeah.
passports. A lot of people who dying is, man, I don't even have a U.S. passport to get over there, so I need to get my passport to get another passport, which kind of ties into why they use tour operators as middlemen, is because the country of Sierra Leone don't have the resources to. Because think about it, you have people who have never been to Africa before, right? So there's this, even though they talk about, pro black, blackity black, the white man, and Donald Trump, there's still a level of anxiety when it comes to going to Africa. So, the tourism board and monuments and relics are like, we just don't have the resources to absorb all these questions about how to get to Sierra Leone. That's why tour operators, you guys are licensed, you guys handle that, you guys be the middleman, you guys help facilitate everything, and we'll do it that way. I know a lot of people felt like, we were hustling, but you have no idea behind the scenes. Again, Sierra Leone was the only country where you could come, pull up, get a passport, never been to Africa before, don't even have a US passport, and leave with a passport from another country in under 10 days. So we went back to the drawing board and said, okay, maybe we went back to the drawing board and they said, you have to come at least twice. So you come again, either April or November, and then you won't get your passport to the following April or November. So you have to wait a year in between each trip. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Just the problem is the people who came like already, we'll say another group came November 2024. That's when we re-implemented this or implemented this new program. It's been on hold. They still haven't received their passports yet. And so as of right now, everything has just been put on hold. So that's where we're at right now. Now they have a citizenship by investment program. If you got 150K, you get your passport in about 3 months, from my understanding. But outside of that, that's just where we're at. The program's on hold. Even if you come on the first trip, that still won't count towards the first trip. So that's just where we're at right now. There are some people who are upset, disgruntled, but it's just, Sierra Leone's a sovereign country. They make their own decisions. It ain't a scam because over 500 people have gotten their passports. So you can't say they scamming.
Right. And I guess that's, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's just where we're at now.
I guess that's what's interesting because like Ghana's kind of in the opposite side of the spectrum, right? Where a lot of Black Americans moved to Ghana, whether they was going to get citizenship or not, right?
Right.
And people are staying there. And there are people who have been there for over 5 years who have not gotten citizenship because of the way that the citizenship has been going with all of that. So so before I even really get into that, because you mentioned how now there's this halt because people are not coming there to live. When the
Not if it just live. Sorry to cut you off. Just come back and visit.
Oh, okay. So people are like, thanks, and not even coming back to even visit again. Okay.
Yeah.
And so when the program was marketed in the beginning, though, because I know that Ghana's year of return marketing was very specific to Ghana. And I noticed that a lot of other people was kind of going to West Africa under the same pretenses and kind of like assuming that other countries were falling in line. And I don't think that was necessarily the case, right? But people were going thinking like, oh, well, if Ghana's doing it, then maybe these other countries are kind of like, also ready for so many other people to come. So when the program Sierra Leone's was marketed, was it marketed like you're going to get your citizenship and we want you guys to come live, or was it just come get your citizenship and be a part of it?
Right. So that's the argument coming from the diaspora is, are we Sierra Leonean or are we not, regardless if we come back or not? Like, I'm Sierra Leonean. There wasn't these stipulations. I'm Sierra Leonean.
That was enough.
Right, exactly. But at the same time, when we get to Sierra Leone, Oh Lord Jesus, I'm back home. My ancestors were taken from here. Oh, we go come and we gonna build and my ancestors were taken from here against my own free will, and we got to come back and make Africa great. And so Sierra Leoneans are hearing this. They're like, okay, yeah,
Right.
come on. But then, they notice we ain't coming back, and then it becomes, well, the ancestors. Then, the spirit brought us back, and we would come back and build in the name of the ancestors. What's going on? So that's where like the kind of the disconnect is. And then also too, so monuments and relics, which is there's somewhat of a department like that works hand in hand with in line with the Ministry of Tourism. The chairman, the director of it, he was on he did an interview last month or earlier this month, and he was saying what he really wants to do is get it in, like, go to Congress and get it like something official in Congress or in the Constitution, where we wouldn't have these issues, because it was just a decree by the president. The president will, hey, come on and do it. But now it's like, okay, let's get this official. So that's another reason why it's being postponed as well. But again, there's the us, we coming home. We were taken away against our own free will. We're coming back. So give us our passports. And then, when we get there, we give the story, they killing us in America, Donald Trump, George Floyd, January 6th, they killing it, ain't safe over there. So we so happy to be here. We'll come and make Africa great and build. And, we built America, and we're going to build Sierra Leone and the ancestors. And they're like, okay, that sounds great. All right, come on. But then, 2021, 2022, 2023, and they're starting to look and say, well, we're not really getting the results that we thought we're going to get. So that's why they moved it to, okay, now you got to come at least twice. But even now, that's been put on hold. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, so I have this question though, like, so because you mentioned like, okay, 2021, right? It's only 2026, right? So
Mm-hmm.
knowing, for people who don't know, I am from Compton, California originally.
Okay.
Um, so
Rosecrans.
yeah, specifically Alondra and Wilmington. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I'm aware of the fact that a lot of times, especially Black Americans who want to go back to Africa, are not necessarily coming back with $200,000 in savings, right? So many are, but I'm just saying, like a lot of people are not coming with this, pioneering mindset. So do you feel like 5 years of time was enough for the government to be like, we need to we need to hold it because you guys aren't doing enough? Or can you explain a little bit more on that?
Well, see, it's not even me personally. So I'm glad you brought that up, because also too, where the disconnect is, just like everywhere else. You have some folks who come invest, they get hustled by the locals. We come in with rose colored shades on. We Pan African. We coming back. Some of the locals, they look at us like, we a checkbook. We a open checkbook, or we a come up. So you have some of that going on. But even that, it's not necessarily just. I mean, the investment part is great, but just come visit. Just come visit. Come get your passport stamp in Sierra Leone. Take some photos. I'm back home. Just the simple things. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
So, because I know that you mentioned, like, so in the beginning it was like you can come, you can get it, and then they extended it to need to come 2 times and stuff like that. Um, for the people that you were working with, was it like hard for some people to come back that second time? Did you notice, like, was there a shorter amount of people, or was there like an increase of people, or like a, I guess, the equal amount of people who came the first time to do the first part of the tour, and then when it came to the second part, was there like discrepancies in that part as well?
Well, we haven't even gotten to the second part yet.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
because they postponed it. They put everything
okay,
on hold, so we haven't even got to the second part yet.
okay, okay.
But
I see.
but they knew when they came on the first trip that they would have to come a second time, and they're okay with that.
Okay. I
Mhm.
see. And then, and so a little bit like what you were talking about just now about like then there were people who were coming who were trying to invest and then they didn't have not so great experiences.
Yeah, you have some of that.
So, because I know like with Ghana, right,
Mhm.
we have a lot of people who still live in the country because there's other residential opportunities. Like you can get a permanent residency, you can get a residential permit and things like that. So do Sierra Leone have that option for people who
Oh
may
yeah,
not necessarily want? Okay, so they can still come in, extend their visa, get a
right.
residential permit for a
Hmm.
year or two, and things like that.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, I don't know. I wonder then, so have you spoken to people who feel like who did not come back? Are there reasons specifically why they didn't come back, or were people just using the African experience?
I honestly think, sorry to cut you off. It was just, and I'm not mad. Like, I'm not mad at them. If somebody said, hey, you come to this country right now, get your passport in, you know, in under 10 days, like, I wouldn't be mad. I mean, I would take that. It was an opportunity. So I just think the majority of the people, it was an opportunity to get a second citizenship.
Yeah, it was just okay. I get that. I get that too. I asked that because I noticed like because people are struggling with the same thing in Ghana, where it's a very similar situation where it's a presidential mandate, right? It's not
Right.
necessarily in the Constitution, it's not necessarily something that every president has to continue. And so now we see with President Mahama, where um, when I Shall Speak came to Ghana, to one, he was able to apparently leave with a passport, and then two, 48 hours later of him leaving, a diaspora citizenship application was enacted onto the website, which was something people had been asking for over 10 years. And
Right.
so people that are living in the country right now who do have citizenship, you know, people, you know, who are part of like African American associations or organizations like that, I'm sure you know those
Right with it.
people, like,
Hmm.
you know, they are now speaking up and being like, okay, you know, this is kind of unfair because we've been asking for a pathway, an application that is legit and all these types of things for over 10 years. And then it took a celebrity to come in
Yeah.
and, you know, it was done in 2 days. Um, and that's a whole nother thing because I know with Ghana, the diasporans are having that conversation right now about how celebrities are getting certain treatments when it comes to citizenship, but other residents who have been living there for 5 plus years are told that they have to.
Well, that's life. I mean, if you're I say this: if you are the best in a certain field or industry, you're gonna be able to skip a line. That's just life. You know, like when I was at the University of Georgia, the football players skipped the line. You know, it's just that's just life. I know it's not fair, but it's what it is. I get it. So like Stevie Wonder, I Show Speed, you know, them
Mm-hmm.
coming in, getting their passports. You know, in Guinea, you just had Megan Good and her husband. In
Right,
Benin Republic, you know, you had Sierra. That you know, that's just what it
right,
is. That's just life. You know, I know it's not fair, but people. Certain people are going to be able to skip a line.
right. And I also noticed that too when it comes to this conversation about citizenship, it's still kind of being held under the umbrella of tourism. And I think
Hmm.
that's where some people are having a hard time because it's like the people who are coming in who want to be residents, who want to live there, are not coming in to be tourists, right? So they feel like there should be some type of differentiation between the two. But I know, like with Ghana, they have a diaspora affairs office, but the diaspora affair office still is for the Ghanaian diaspora, not necessarily for the
Right.
historical diaspora. So, is that something that's also in the works for Sierra Leone? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure as far as there's going to be a separate, diaspora relations office to deal to absorb, the diaspora that's looking for citizenship. I'm not sure at all.
Word. And
Yeah.
then
It's
as
that
far as
is what people have to understand. Sorry to cut you off. These countries, they have so much other
going on,
issues they
yeah,
got to do. Yeah, they just got a lot going on. I mean, just from basic infrastructure needs and you know, and it would be nice for them just to just cater to us, but they're not in position to. You know, we got 24-hour electricity as long as we pay for it. We got internet as long as we pay for
right.
it, reliable. We got everything over here. Just over there, like in Sierra Leone, just the basics, running water, 24-hour electricity. A lot of people don't have. So I
Mm-hmm.
get it. So I don't have this, you know, some people will complain. So even with the process, with it being 10 days and you come and leave with your passport, you have people complaining about that, saying it's not organized. And I'm just like, listen, just
Right.
leave. You don't leave with your passport. Like, just relax.
Yeah.
Because again, when you get to Sierra Leone, you realize the challenges that are there. So they have so much more. They have so many other issues that they have to deal with. That if I gotta wait in the what's immigration
Right.
a couple hours and be a little hot or uncomfortable, it's just it's what it is. I'm not complaining about that. But you have a lot of here we go. What's the word? Was it COD? Is that the term? COD or OD? What's the word?
For
Compulsive was it when people are just everything has to
OCD.
be OCD. I'm sorry. You
Yeah.
have just a lot of like if you're OCD, you're gonna freaking lose it.
Yeah.
Like so you get these OCD people who look, you're gonna get your passport. I'm sorry that it might be a little uncomfortable in immigration or in monuments and relics, or the roads aren't the best, or but just
Well, that's
relax.
what I was going to ask about too, and because you've been to Ghana, right?
Hmm.
You've been
Hmm.
to Ghana.
Hmm.
What would you say are like the like immediate differences, if there are, between like Ghana and Sierra Leone?
I would say Sierra Leone, the infrastructure is, I hate saying the word worse, but it's not where Ghana is.
Okay. Okay.
That Sierra Leone is still recovering from a bloody civil war.
Okay.
Um, but it's such a beautiful country. Sierra Leone is such a beautiful country.
Yeah.
Uh, I would
So
say
when people,
after I would say Freetown,
okay.
after Cape Town is probably like my second most beautiful city. Love Freetown. But it has its challenges.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So when the diaspora comes to, um, when they come to Sierra Leone, hotel wise, Airbnb wise, that's something, obviously that's an option. Um, is that more so in the Freetown area, in the capital area, that would be most advised?
Correct. Yeah. So we stay at the Radisson Blue in
Okay.
Freetown. Now the Radisson Blue in Freetown is different from the other Radisson Blue, so it's not like so I've stayed at the both of the Radisson Blues in Lagos. I'm familiar with the Radisson Blue in Dakar. Those properties are a little more, way more, I would say, more high end than the Radisson Blue in Freetown, but I like it. It's still a nice property. It has its challenges at times, but the staff is friendly. I've been staying there since 2019. But it's still a nice property.
Okay, cool. And my last question, you mentioned African ancestry. How are you working directly with African ancestry, or just more so when it comes to bringing people over?
Right, and also too, so another another change that they made was you only so at first it was only African ancestry. Those are the only DNA results that they accepted. Now it's African ancestry, ancestry.com, 23andMe, which unfortunately went bankrupt, and another one called CRI Genetics. So if any of those results link back to Sierra Leone, you're eligible.
Okay.
But as
And
far
then
as but I don't work directly with African
right,
ancestry.
right.
So how it works, you have to be a local tour operator in Sierra Leone, be a registered tour operator in Sierra Leone. And then once they announce, hey, we're gonna have a citizenship ceremony, these are the dates, just go out and market and bring your people.
Okay. Okay, nice. And for the people who did not hear you earlier, what are the tours that you have coming up this year?
So we're doing Senegal next month, Nigeria in August, Zanzibar in September, um, Ivory Coast
Zanzibar.
and Ghana in November, along with Sierra Leone in November, and then we're doing Benin for the Voodoo Festival in January. You guys can visit Danfo Africa to learn more.
Nice. So out of all the countries that you've been to, which one is your favorite?
Oh, that's a tough one. Depends which day you ask me. My top three are out of Senegal, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone.
Okay.
But my favorite city, I love Cape Town. I love Cape Town's a beautiful city, but the culture isn't there. But it's just a beautiful city. And then as far as the best food, Senegal. My favorite restaurant though is in Abidjan and Ivory Coast. And I love Zanzibar too. Zanzibar, if you just like blue water, white sand beaches, Zanzibar is nice.
Sorry, I have to ask this question. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, take your
So
time.
so about Sierra Leone, because I know some people, is Sierra Leone francophone?
No, so
No, it's anglophone,
um,
right?
Anglophone, English
Okay,
speaking.
cool, cool, cool. But the francophone countries that you have been to, has it still been easy to navigate around?
Uh, I have to have a guide,
Okay.
but they know money. Like, when it's time to pay or negotiate, they know money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they know money. But yeah, you definitely have to have a guide if you don't speak the language.
And I know you obviously you do your tours. I used to be a solo traveler. I don't know
Mhm.
how I 100% feel about that anymore. I mean, Ghana, I can always go solo, but I don't know about the other experiences moving forward. But would you say that like Sierra Leone or any of these other countries, other than South Africa, because obviously South Africa has a different
Right.
advancement,
hmm
for yourself when you were traveling solo prior to doing the tours, would you say it was still like a fairly easy, safe experience, or do you feel like, there obviously there's a benefit from doing the tours, but I'm just saying
Right.
like, what was that experience like?
Well, it just depends on what you're trying. It depends what experience you want from each country. Now, if you just want to just a regular touristy, very commercial experience, then depending on the country, you could do it on your own. Again, depending on the country and the infrastructure. Um, but our tours are very, very unique because we're very rooted in integrating with the locals as much as possible, cultural immersion, eating local food. So there's a certain experience that we have that unless you know some, or if you don't know anyone on the ground, it's going to be very tough to get that experience on your own. But if you just want to just a very touristy commercial experience, um, then yeah, I mean, you'll still have some challenges, but if you're going to like a South Africa, you'll be fine.
Right.
Mhm. But as far as me, like with my experience on my own, there were some challenges, but like there's just this. But when I started traveling, there really wasn't anyone on YouTube. Like there was a no man's land as far as what to do and where
Mm-hmm.
to go. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
kind of figure it out on my own, trial and error. Um,
Yeah.
so it was there were some challenges, but I mean I still enjoyed myself, had a great time. That I was so it just depends on your level of patience,
Right.
as well. So um, a lot of these countries again, they're being developed, you know, you're going to developing countries, so take that in mind. You're not going to America. Everything isn't set, like here in America. So if here we go, shout out to Wally. So Wally came with me to Sierra Leone. Dinah Sierra Leone tour is life change. Appreciate you. He came with Wally. You came with me in what was that? November 2022 or 2021? Not November. I'm sorry. Yeah, November 2021, 2022. But Wally came. In fact, Wally came on my trip, found his wife, is married. Wally, you have a kid yet? Listen, anyone can do Ghana on their own. It just depends on what you want to do. You know,
Yeah,
if you want to do just to, go to Ghana, go to Kwame Nkrumah Center, go to W. Du Bois Center, the typical touristy stuff. Yeah, you can do it on your own, but we try to go a little bit deeper.
for sure. No, I
Mhm.
hear that. Well, I'm really excited. I really appreciate you for working with me because I
No,
know I
anytime. No, 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 no problem. No problem.
but yeah, that's all for my questions.
Okay.
My talk is a little crazy, so I'm not gonna ask you the questions that they are asking because they
No, 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 no. Let them ask. Let them
mm,
ask.
mm,
Why
mm,
not?
gets ghetto over here.
Okay,
Um,
listen, we get ghetto over here too. So trust me, we get ghetto over here too. Go ahead, ask the questions.
let me see. Um, So I think the main question people want to know is like how is the diaspora treated in Sierra Leone? I know you mentioned earlier, like, and I think it's the same thing with Ghana, right? There's this ATM experience and all of
Right.
that. But outside of that, is there an understanding of who like we are, particularly as the diaspora that come from the slave trade? Is that something that you feel like you have to still have that conversation with some of the natives there?
Yeah, but I don't. So when I travel, I try to integrate as much as possible, and I try to because they have so many other issues they got to worry about. So I try to stay away from oh, we was cotton slavery
Right, right,
and
right, right.
slave and slavery because they got so many other issues that they have to deal with. Like we have a day where we kind of focus on that, but outside of that, it's they got so many other issues that they have to focus on and worry about that I don't wanna come and just unload on them on how, we were kidnapped and enslaved and, 400 years in America and, everything that's going on here in our struggle when they got their own struggles that they have to, address as well. So I kinda but they understand that I am a member of the diaspora, but we don't really get into the whole I don't really push the whole, I was just descendant of slaves when I
Yeah,
go there. Yeah.
yeah. No, I feel that. I think that that's because the year of return with Ghana, that was what the marketing was based on, you know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? So I think for some people, that's why I said earlier, some people assume that when they go to some of these other countries, that everybody wants to talk about slavery.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's just not I mean, even in Ghana, nobody wants to talk about it, right? So,
Mhm.
um, I think that that's what I've been hearing a lot of that people having that issue and not kind of understanding that we've all been colonized guys. Our education curriculums have all been
Right.
compromised. Like just like over here, you can talk to somebody who also doesn't know everything about the history. So it's not necessarily like an intentional thing or like a hatred thing. It's just more so
Mhm.
like colonization has done an unfortunate number on us.
Right.
Um, let me see. What is I'm just gonna ask another one because I'm
No,
not
go ahead,
I'm
go ahead, go ahead. Take your time.
very
Go take
curious.
your time. Take your time.
They're fighting in the comments right now. I think you kind of answered this question. Someone said, is Sierra Leone a functioning state? Obviously, I guess you can answer that question.
Well, I mean, it has its challenges, but I mean, yeah, it's functioning. Babalico 9354, thank you for holla. Why would Americans want to go there? ECOWAS puppet leader. So Matabia, who's the president of Sierra Leone, is now the president of ECOWAS as well. So I think that's what he's referring to. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a functioning state. I mean, it has its challenges, but I mean, that wouldn't stop me. It's to the point now. I think you have to have um, a very a lot of patience, and what's the word I want to use? Like a deep love for Africa to deal with the challenges. You know.
Yeah, I say that as well. I think that's why, like for me, when I went to school there, I went back in 2016, I went back in 2019, and then I moved back in 2022. It's
Mhm.
like, are you going to have days where you want to scream? Absolutely. Like, but you have to have already had a reason why you want to be there. And if
Mhm.
you are just only interested in going to a place because you think it's going to be perfect or you're not going to have the same experiences or other type of experiences that you might have here in America, then it's probably just not the place. But you have to already want to see what a developing nation is like, because many of us
Right.
didn't see America develop. We were born, those of us alive today were born when America was already it's already here,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
So you have to understand that they just became independent within the past 70 years. And that's what it looks like and feels like, and mindset wise and environment wise.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's it.
You sure? Any more questions? No questions?
Um, uh,
Ask the ghetto questions. It's fine. Ask. We get
no,
ratchet over here
this
sometime.
this
Ask the
this
ratchet questions. It's okay.
No, it's they're just being, because there's this conversation that people are doing right now where it's very, and I know that you're aware of this very, anti-Africa sentiment,
Right.
and any
Right. Right.
Black American who dares to love Africa, now all of a sudden we are now being ostracized from the group. And it's
Right.
just very frustrating, because it's just like, when I start questioning, like, well, what's the group? Then that's when things start getting a little shaky, because it's
Mhm.
like, so it's just very frustrating, because I think that I've been experiencing that since 2013, since I've gone to Ghana, is realizing like, oh, I didn't know that loving Africa and going to Africa now kind of ostracizes you from your own community that you're from. Um, I don't know if you've dealt with that or if other people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how do you reconcile with that?
I don't. Like, I really don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I don't. Yeah, I don't. Not to
No, I
reconcile.
feel
Like,
that.
it's what it is. How do you feel? Do you think I Show Speed had any like positive effect on people being encouraged to actually travel to Africa?
Um, I think that, well, I don't know what the actual effect is. I think that it would, because he turned 21 in Nigeria, right?
Mhm.
Like I turned 21 in Ghana, so I know what it's like to be 21 in an African country for the first time. And I think that when we think about his audience being younger than him, obviously there's
Mhm.
people older than him that watch him, which is interesting. But there's obviously a large audience of children, teenagers who watch him. I think that it will impact them in a different way, because I don't know too much child or teenage or young adult content that is necessarily doing what he's doing. There's people like us,
All
and
right.
people older than us who are on YouTube and on, BET and doing all of this travel, a little bit older. But I think for me, I liked that he did it because it gave people younger than him an opportunity to see traveling to Africa in a very positive light, so that when they do get old enough, they will have a different opportunity. Because I know I didn't have that. I wasn't a teenager seeing somebody 20 something years old go to Africa, and especially not go to Africa in the way that he did it as a rich person, right?
Mhm.
A lot of times
Right.
we see it and we see the most desolate things. But what I loved about his experience there is that he did it in a way where he was actually showing like the non-touristy areas. He was showing like the very traditional experiences that
Yeah,
even still,
that's what we focus
right.
on, like the non-touristy traditional.
Yeah, like he was showing the traditional spiritual centers and things like that.
Good.
Which again, for a lot of people, they usually, especially on this side of in our country, they usually will hear a lot of negativity when it comes to African traditional spiritual systems and stuff like that. So I feel like, you know, I don't necessarily know the actual effect of it, but I would assume that for people who are younger than him, um, and if I'm being honest, I really love that the exposure of the northern um, Africa experience was
Yeah.
also shown, because I think that oftentimes that part of the story doesn't get told. Obviously, people have great experiences going to Egypt and other parts. I've been to Morocco and stuff like that, but I do think that it's by time we have a conversation about that, and that's a whole other thing.
Okay. Are you open to taking a couple callers?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here.
Guys, links in the chat room. If
Please
you want
be
to
nice,
call
guys.
in, yeah, be nice, because we get kind of ghetto over here too. If you guys want to call in and ask a question, link is in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. And I meant to use the term. I meant to say authentic love. You have to have an authentic love for Africa to deal with the challenges. But I love it. I love it. The first time I went to Africa in 2011 and was in Tanzania, I fell in love with the continent.
Yeah, that's how I feel
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
My bachelor's is in Africana Studies, my master's is in African Studies. So
Where'd you get your bachelor's from?
San Francisco State University,
Okay,
the
my
first
buddy.
degree program in the country to enact Black Studies as a degree program.
Oh wow. Oh wow. All right. Oh boy. M, disclaimer, don't get ghetto. Go ahead, M.
Yeah, thank you. It's something that you said that piqued my interest. You said the host. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself properly. Thank you for having me. Thank you, guest. Thank you, Dinus.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
you said it took us. They just got their independence 70 years ago, and they're not developed. They're not a develop. They're a developing country. And my thing was Europeans were there for hundreds of years, and Africans and kings and the Hami, the Ashanti was there for hundreds of years. How come it took them so long to get to this development infrastructure?
Which one of us are answering that?
The host, no,
It's
not the
for you.
host,
He,
the
no, he
guest,
said the host.
Well, you're technically the host.
the guest.
Okay. Well, okay. Grill, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
So are you doing the thing where we're saying that why aren't they developed enough if the Europeans were there all this time, and that you're saying the African chiefs and all of that, why weren't they able to develop their country?
Exactly, like a sort of what you just said, reading between the lines, like this whole notion that Europeans are so superior and they bring so much development, but since they've been with Europeans, they haven't really been developed. They haven't really achieved anything.
I
It's
got you.
like the comparison contrast. How when they come to America, the African people, and they associate all of the development with Europeans, and they don't really attribute it to the like us black people. Like most of it really was built by the Black American people, but they somehow associated with Europeans. But I'm looking like if you was with Europeans for hundreds of years and they just left the African desolate in like a desolate wasteland, how can you associate what's in America to them? Does that
Okay, I
make any
got you.
sense?
Oh no, I hear you. I get this question a lot. So first, I think the first thing that we got to do is understand the imperialism and the colonization in the word development, right? How Europeans identify your development is based off of their standards, right? And so, one, we have to understand that development to many indigenous African people was there, right? But we may look at it differently. So when we talk about African architecture, there's been African architecture. They've been building for hundreds of years, for centuries, right? So there has been development in that. When it comes to medicine, there's been development for the indigenous African people, right? Again, it looks different because in the westernized concept of development, we are looking at clinics and we're looking at hospitals and we're looking at things like that. But that does not take away from the fact that there have been medicinal herbal healers for centuries, right? It may not be in a hospital, in a white building, in a certain type of structure, but that doesn't take away from the certain level of development. Then we have to also keep in mind that there have been many wars that have happened on the continent. And when a lot of these Europeans were kicked out of these countries, a lot of Europeans, a lot of these colonizers would literally destroy many of these different things that were being built, that even they built for themselves. They would intentionally destroy it so that the African people wouldn't have it. That's why when you go to certain places, I'm pretty sure it's like this in Sierra Leone, and when you go to certain places in Ghana, specifically in Central Region, you can literally see parts of buildings that have been bombed or have been destroyed and things like that intentionally, because as people like the British and these different groups of people were kicked out or pushed out, they would intentionally destroy it. And again, when we talk about infrastructure and development, there's a westernized version of development, and then there's an indigenous African version of development. And so I think sometimes when we confuse African people coming over here to America and them doing so well, it's easy in a sense to do well in a developed place like America, where we all have a very westernized view. So I think we have to have an honest conversation on what we consider to be developed, and what we and how we as Americans, or whoever you are, which type of development do you like? If you like the Western type of development, that's okay, but just say that, right? But I think we have to be careful when we say that Africa has never been developed, because Africa has been developed.
I wouldn't necessarily say it never been developed. I'm just associating it with when Europeans were with Africans, as far as like being right next to them and having control during
Have you seen
after
the
the.
University of Ghana?
I haven't, so I'm not. I
I,
haven't
I would
seen
I
it.
would I would employ you to do that. That's the university that I went to, and it's bigger than a lot of universities out here in America, right? And that was built by the British, and usually and for the British, right? But now that university is the size of Disneyland. So that's what I mean by, like, we also have to be clear on the lack of research that we all do here in the diaspora. Sometimes we speak about Africa in a way as if we know what's going on when we don't, right? And I stayed in a dorm. I didn't stay in no mud hut and things like that people like to say. I stayed in a dorm, in a 4-story dorm on campus at University of Ghana.
But
So I
I'm
was
not
actually to go
necessarily.
speak there. So when you say development, what do you like? Are you talking about like because the roads aren't done? But when we talk about
No,
roads
no.
not done, let me finish. When we talk about the roads and things like that, there didn't need to be roads to be done, and there wasn't a certain level of infrastructure that didn't need to be done prior to certain colonizers, including Arab colonizers, that didn't need to be done because there weren't certain levels of machinery or certain levels of cars and all these types of things that were there yet. So when you say development, what exactly do you mean?
I was listening to the conversation. I was listening when Dynas says when he was talking about his tours and how you don't expect it to be like America. The infrastructure is not like. And then when you said, as far as like how they just got freedom 70 years ago, so it's still a development country. And then when you just said when Africans come to America, they do well because it's westernized. Now, what I want to say about that is not true, because Africans come here and do well because of Rosa Parks and Dr. King and all of the opportunities that was brought about after the Civil War. Like if you know about the Black Codes of 1808, what that was about was it was under the auspices of preventing the importation of African slaves, but it really did was it prevented Africans from coming to America by boat. It was just saying they did it because, so they literally couldn't even come to America until 1965. All because they said they wanted to prevent African slavery. Like the only way you could come from Africa is through a boat. So it was one Moroccan dude I read Booker T. Washington's book, Up from Slavery. It was a black man from Morocco. And because he had he spoke English, they thought he was American. So they was discriminated against him. So he started speaking Arabic, but it wasn't like lots of Africans coming to America because it was illegal. But the fact that when they come here and do well, it has nothing to do with it being a Western society. It has everything to do with the opportunities
Okay, you
that's
made your point, man. Move on.
available to Black people.
Yeah, but let me pass the mic to Amara because I don't want to hold our sister on for too long. But go ahead, Amara.
Hello.
Go ahead, Amara.
Yes, sir. How you doing? I just wanted to ask the young lady, as a Black woman, did you feel that went on Africa, right?
I can't hear him.
You can't hear him.
The last thing I heard was as a Black woman.
As a Black woman, do you think going to Africa at a young age took away a lot from you?
Took a lot from me. How?
Because I had a lot of Black girlfriends when I was coming up. I was born in the United States, but I grew up in Africa and I went back. And I wanted to go to I wanted to go back to Africa with one of my girlfriends, and I always had this problem of you're taking away a lot of my youth, my fun, my exploration in America. Yeah, but I could do that later on in life, you know. So did he take from your experience, did he take anything away? You were away from your friends, you were away from your family. Did he take a lot away from you?
So respectfully, I paid for every plane ticket, I paid for every hotel, I paid for every Airbnb, and I paid for all of my apartments when I go to Africa. So I make those decisions on my on myself, like on my own. I don't know what it's like to only travel somewhere with somebody or with somebody paying for it. So any decision that I've made in life, it was because I made a conscious decision to make that. So there was nothing that could be taken away from me. It was only a gain because unfortunately my parents and nobody that I dated could take me across the world like that. I was the only person who could do that for myself. So no.
Okay. All right, that's
Okay,
all I wanted to ask.
let me pass the mic. Roll image. Go ahead, roll image, and then we'll take one more caller. Then we'll close out.
Yeah,
We'll let Nakara go.
I think the gentleman he thinks that when the Europeans were there, they were developing the place. For example, in Ghana, where the gold mine was, there was a rails from there to the port. That was it. They didn't build anything there. Most of the African countries that I think they wanted to stay, they kind of developed. For example, South Africa, they wanted to stay, or they didn't want to leave, so they built up. But most of the other places, they didn't want to stay. It was just for them to enrich themselves and then leave when the time came. Right? So, but a lot of the times people think that while the Europeans were there, they were building up and setting things up, and we just kind of messed it up. It was not that unified state. For example, I think uh, Mugabe's country, where Idi Amin was, like they brought the Indians that they wanted to stay. So it was, Ghana just started developing 2001, because Ghana was under military rule for a long time, like most other countries. So it's not like it was all developed and then everything kind of, when we destroyed it wasn't like that. So a lot of times people need to understand how the history of the country is, rather than just thinking this is how it was and you are like this and why didn't you do this. Just take some time and just do a little bit of research and then come online and then try to get more information. But people come online with no information, and it's like they want information at the same time they don't want information, so they just say however they feel. It's just mostly just emotion, and I don't know where those emotions coming from. Is either that this thing they have Africans, and then the African in them, they just having that conflict within themselves. So a lot of the times people just say a lot of things. It's just a little bit of research and then everything will be okay. It's not that, Google is there. Even with the University of Ghana, when they built it, it was called Gold Coast. It wasn't for everybody. And then when Nkrumah came in power, he opened up, made it bigger and larger. And then most of the universities in Ghana was all built by Nkrumah. So back then, it wasn't like you can go to school and do all these things that we can do now. It wasn't like that. And even right now, all the African countries that have independence is just a political independence. You don't have economic
Hey,
independence. You can't just
world image. You have a question, my brother? You got a question?
no, just people come online and just see a bunch of stuff. No, so I don't have a question. I think she's holding everything down. She knows what she's talking about. She can educate those that come on asking questions. I just wanted to put some stuff out there. People just do a little bit of research, a little Google search. You get some information.
Okay. All right. Let me pass the mic. Man, the High Council. Go ahead. Be nice.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you. Hello, Mrs. Mrs. Diaspora, correct?
Griot is fine.
Hello, Mrs. Grillo. This is the man in the high castle. And I had a question that I wanted to inquire about. Have you ever seen the pyramids in Nigeria called the Insunde pyramids?
I've never been to Nigeria.
Oh, okay. There's supposed to be pyramids there built by the Igbo people. However, they look lovely. There was no cranes to be used for the construction. They're thousands of years old. They're still there. So my question is, have you ever been to Ghana? Have you ever been to Ghana, ma'am?
Yes, I live in Ghana. What's the question?
Oh, okay. Have you ever seen Elmina Slave Fortress?
The slave dungeons? Yes, I have.
Okay. Now, I believe that these people built it from themselves, from the ground up. Would you believe that too?
So actually, there's a group called the Asafo Number 5 Company, and on their posuban, which is one of their shrine statues, it has the words "We built the castle." So a lot of that type of information you can get from Asafo Number 5 Company. They're Fanti.
Okay. Asafo, like the warriors.
Mm-hmm. So if you know
So
their
they built
story,
it from
then
the
you will know
ground
who
up.
built it.
They built it from the ground up. No
That's their
cranes,
story.
correct?
No cranes. That's their
Wow.
story.
So slavery and slave masters in their DNA. Slave auctions is in their DNA. I got you. That's all I want to know.
If that's what you got from that, thank you very much.
You're welcome, ma'am. Have a great night.
Okay. All right, Nakira, how can people get a grill of the diaspora? How can people get in contact with you, follow you, socials, all that good stuff for my
Yeah,
people who are
all of
watching?
my thank you. All of my social media is Griot the Diaspora. My website is griotthediaspora.com. My YouTube is also Griot the Diaspora, where this will obviously be posted a little bit later. As well as my TikTok is Griot the Diaspora. So everything, you can just type this in where you see my username and you will find me.
All right, go ahead and close us out.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the questions and things. Thank you, Dinus Amir. Hopefully you have me again. Feel free
Oh,
to.
any listen, don't be a stranger. Anytime.
Yeah,
Anytime.
you should come over to TikTok. A lot of people have a lot of questions.
I'll come over. You just let me know when. I'll come over.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks, guys.
All right, y'all. Everyone, till next time, Dinus Amir, search for Huru. Peace. Make sure you go subscribe to Grill the Diaspora as well.